So let's get into it. We all talk to people every single day, right? But what if I told you that a normal, everyday chat could actually be one of the most powerful tools you have? Today, we're going to break down the science of conversation and how to turn it into a way to learn pretty much anything you want to know.
You've heard this a million times, right? Conversation is an art form. And it kind of makes sense. It suggests that some people are just born with the gift of gab, while the rest of us are just kind of muddling through. It makes it sound like something that's totally unpredictable and basically left up to chance.
Okay, but what if that's all wrong? What if conversation isn't some mystical art you have to be born with, but a science that anyone can learn? A structured, repeatable process, one with clear steps that leads to, well, predictable outcomes.
And that's where this idea of a planned conversation comes in. See, when you're trying to gather information effectively, it's not random. It's a process. And in the world of intelligence, they have a name for that process: elicitation.
So what is elicitation, really? It's not just about having a conversation. It's about directing it. Think of it like this. It's a skill you can learn to subtly steer a chat toward a specific goal, all while the other person just thinks you're having a nice, friendly talk.
All right, so to really wrap our heads around what elicitation is, it's actually super helpful to start with what it isn't. Because this is not about firing off a bunch of direct questions. In fact, it's the total opposite.
The whole point here is to lower suspicion. Think about it. When you start asking a ton of direct questions, what happens? People's walls go up. They get defensive. Elicitation, on the other hand, uses a totally natural conversational style that makes the other person feel so comfortable and at ease that they end up sharing information freely without even thinking about it.
So let's put these things side by side. You've got interrogation, which is, adversarial. Then there's interviewing, which is more formal and structured. Both of those can make people feel on edge. Elicitation is the complete opposite. It's a subtle, guided chat that's designed to feel so normal, so everyday, that the other person's defenses just never go up in the first place.
Okay, so how do you actually structure something like this? I mean, how do you plan a conversation so it doesn't feel planned? Well, Intelligence Pros use this really simple but brilliant mental model to guide the whole thing, and it's called the conversational hourglass.
The way it flows is super simple. Picture that hourglass shape. You start wide at the top with broad, totally non-threatening topics. They call them macro topics: the weather, sports, weekend plans, whatever. Then, as the conversation goes on, you carefully narrow the focus down right into that skinny middle part of the hourglass. That's your specific micro objective. And then, and this is key, once you've got what you need, you don't just hang up or walk away. You broaden the conversation back out to other easy macro topics to end things naturally.
And that is what makes this hourglass model so dang effective. See, by ending on some random, casual topic, the other person's memory of the chat isn't about that one specific thing you asked about. They remember the pleasant, general stuff from the beginning and the end. That little nugget of crucial information they gave you, it's just sandwiched in the middle of all the casual talk. So they walk away feeling like they just had a great chat, not like they just gave up the farm.
Okay, so we've got the framework down. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty. Let's talk about 3 really potent techniques you can use in that narrow micro part of the hourglass to actually guide the conversation where you want it to go.
All right, technique number 1. This one is so simple, it's brilliant. And it works because it taps directly into a basic part of human nature. We just can't help ourselves. We have this almost irresistible urge to correct someone when we know they're wrong. And this technique uses that to its advantage.
So check out this example. Instead of asking, how many units can your factory make, you say something you know is wrong. Like, a factory like that couldn't possibly make more than 500 units a week. See? You're not asking a question. You're basically baiting them into a correction. Their instinct is going to be to jump in and say, whoa, no, that's not right at all. We can do way more than that. And boom, just like that, they've handed you the exact piece of information you were looking for.
Okay, on to technique number 2, naivete. This one works by making the other person the expert, the teacher. It's just a fact. People love to talk about what they know, especially if they think they're explaining it to someone who is genuinely clueless but curious. So, by pretending you're totally ignorant about something, explosive welding, wow, I've never even heard of that. Sounds kind of dangerous. You encourage the other person to lay it all out for you. Their desire to teach you something, to show off what they know, will often lead them to spill all sorts of valuable details about how things work, or maybe some new tech they're using, and you never had to ask a single direct question. And our third and final technique for today, quotation of reported facts. This one is built on a really simple social idea. Nobody wants to feel like they're out of the loop. If someone thinks a piece of information is already out there, that it's public knowledge, they feel way more comfortable talking about it.
So by framing something as a reported fact, something you just happen to read or hear somewhere, I was reading the other day that analysts expect your quarterly earnings to be off by 20%. You totally remove the pressure of secrecy. The other person feels like they're just chatting about something that's already out there, not spilling a secret. And that can make even really sensitive topics feel totally open for discussion.
So after all this, what's the big takeaway for you? Well, once you understand these principles, you kind of can't unsee them. It gives you this completely new lens to look through for every single conversation you have from now on. So let's recap the big ideas here. First, conversation doesn't have to be random. It can be a planned process. Second, that hourglass model, broad, narrow, broad, gives you a killer framework to structure it. And third, these simple techniques we talked about can help you guide it. Really, it's all about becoming a more effective and, frankly, a more aware communicator.
And I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Now that you have this knowledge, you can start to see these dynamics playing out all around you in your everyday interactions. So the question isn't just about what you're going to talk about anymore. It's about understanding the current underneath the surface. In your next conversation, will you be the one leading it, or will you be led?